Isn't that so funny how they went from telling us we're going to be single, lonely cat ladies to then turning around and being like, wait, y'all don't want us? We're going to snatch you off the street and force you to be with us. Masculinity is a mental illness.
So the 4B movement has taken TikTok by storm, and so many people are talking about it.
It's not to teach them a lesson, it's because we have learned ours.
And so let me address this comment, the idea that it's a punishment to men, when I don't believe that it is. I believe that it's a very smart assessment.
So true. Nobody runs from a good man. Reply, good men are well taken care of. That's why they stay so quiet. They're happy.
And it is about being active instead of being reactive to a lot of the concerns that women have consistently had.
It's self-preservation and protecting your mental health, 100.
And we've reached a point where we have to make a decision based on safety, based on emotional well-being, and based on mental health. And the reality of it is that ain't nobody ever ran from a good man. Never.
I'm just gonna call it like a TI is. All the while, my husband done found somebody else building a relationship and building a life with them. I should have stayed married to my husband.
A good man don't have no problems, honey, getting that big piece of chicken.
I divorced my husband because I was making a certain amount of money. I divorced my husband because I thought I didn't need him anymore. I divorced my husband because I had this senior position at work and thought I held the same position at home. I divorced my husband because I thought I was better than him because I had my degree now. I divorced my husband because I thought a successful marriage meant I was here and he was down here.
Ain't nobody running from no good man. That's never gonna happen.
Although conversation continues in 2024 as to the existence of a pay gap or not between men and women, new research shows that the gap has narrowed substantially in the last 40 years when it comes to median hourly earnings. And in an atmosphere where for 2 decades plus, women have consistently gotten more bachelor degrees than men, a simple question can be asked about the new Western 4B movement. Is the source of complaints that modern women are fulfilling the role of traditional women in their relationships and not feeling appreciated for it? Or might there be some other reason for the complaints and the rise of the quote-unquote Western 4B movement?
Look, this is 4B in action, y'all. According to the Korea Herald, 157 elementary schools across South Korea do not have any first graders set to enroll in March. A record low number of new students is also expected for the upcoming school year. Nearly every single provincial and metropolitan area had at least one elementary school that was not expecting any new students. This marks the lowest number of new first graders since the government began keeping track back in 1970. A population drop began in South Korea in 2017, with women refusing to mate with their oppressors. South Korea's birth rate has consistently fallen every single year since 2015. This is 4B. Women are simply refusing to give birth to future generations. The cycle is over.
After watching this TikTok, I replied, yeah, female teachers out of work. That will show men. One person replied, they'll find work doing something else. I said again, sounds like other women will suffer. Carry on. Explain how will other women suffer from this? Of course, to me, it seems pretty natural. But I said, have you ever been to a daycare center, elementary school, baby nursing ward? You see men or women? The reply, okay, then men should enter the daycare system. Looking at this conversation, I could not help but do the next logical thing. Look at the stats.
Korean women have no idea what the 4B movement is, and we need to stop this misinformation online. By now, you've probably heard that Korea has one of the lowest birth rates in the world. And a lot of people on TikTok specifically are attributing this to the 4B movement.
No baby with no modern day bum. We have the power to make morons go extinct like dinosaurs. The morons here are just creating mediocrity.
Which, if you don't know, it's a radical feminist movement that basically tells women to completely eliminate men in their lives. When you search up the term on TikTok, you will not see one single Korean person being like, yes, this is me right now, this is me, I'm 4B.
We can't afford our life when we are married. If we have our baby, it will be not good for our love.
Their standards has gone up really high. And the living cost in Korea, as you know, is quite high.
As someone who has lived in Korea for 4 years, the first and only time I've ever heard about this movement is from TikTok, from Western creators.
There are fewer things sadder to a community than to close down their neighborhood grade school. We must remember that grade schools are more than just places where young children go to school. They are places for PTA meetings, Christmas concerts, field days, safe playgrounds, elections. And some communities must face the fact that those events will no longer be held at their local elementary school. So let's suppose the Western 4B movement actually does pick up some steam. The most obvious place it would affect is elementary schools, and their teachers, most of them are women. According to Career Explorer, not only are most elementary school teachers female, but an overwhelming majority are female. 87% of grade school teachers in America are women. This would of course mean that the celebration of the 4B movement in America is going to affect, that's right, other women.
The 4B movement is a way for women to stand up against these problems and create a more equal and just society. By rejecting traditional roles and expectations, the women involved in this movement are taking a powerful stance and demanding change. I think it's time that women in America need to start their own version of the 4B movement because men ain't.
And what of childcare workers? According to Zippa, of the over 250,000 child daycare workers in America, 88.7, almost 89% of those workers are, yet again, women. Yet another time where we see the celebration of a 4B movement directly affecting women's employment.
It's so successful, in fact, that now South Korea has one of the lowest birth rates in the world. The number of deaths in South Korea outnumber the number of births in South Korea. And it's hilarious because all the men and the government are like, oh my God, what do we do? They don't want to like talk to us. They don't want to date us. What do we do? Like everything's in shambles. We don't know what to do. When South Korean women have been very clear from day one, they're like, hey, either you get your act together or we are literally eliminating all of this. Like we are shutting it down. So that's the 4B movement and why I'm so obsessed with it and why I think we should have the 4B movement everywhere.
And what if you are a maternity nurse? It looks like you too are in the crosshairs of the rising Western 4B movement. Over 90% of maternity nurses are women.
Well, so why is it that in a society like Korea, where getting married is really pushed on us and, promoted, why are so many men and women choosing not to marry? Number one reason that we need to look at is obviously the housing prices. The housing prices in Korea has been continuing to increase, specifically in Seoul. Especially if you have children, you want to send them to an environment where there's a better education system, there's better academies, there's better schools, there's a better learning environment, and a lot of people will pick Seoul for that. So in 2020, the median household income for a family of 4 was at 57 million won, which comes to be about $43,000 in US dollars. However, the average housing prices in Korea came to be about 900 million won, which comes to about 700,000 USD. So obviously, with your work environment not having the right support system for you to have a child, they're just not going to have a child. Okay, I'm just going to work. I can't even afford to get a house anyway, so it makes sense. Another thing is that according to OECD statistics, Korea has one of the longest working hours in the world. Statistics show that according to the OECD working hours average, Koreans work for more than about 2 months extra for a year.
So the misogyny and patriarchy has gotten so bad in South Korea that the young women are participating in this movement that they're calling the 4B movement. Women in South Korea are so tired of fighting against this bullshit that they're just opting out. Ultimately, this thing is about the fact that South Korean women got so tired of fighting against the system that was keeping everything in place. They just like, we're just gonna check out. We're just not gonna participate anymore. As you can see, it's absolutely having an effect. Their birth rate is going way down. Though a lot of the media blames it on the high cost of housing and competitive education for kids. But as it notes here, increasing gender tensions are another reason regularly cited.
Living in a country that is scheduled to close several hundred schools every calendar year, there's nothing funny nor a light side from which to look at large towns and cities of people losing young children. With such a solemn topic being faced by an ever-growing number of municipalities across many countries, perhaps it is the glee and the eagerness at which many young ladies speak on the topic that is most startling to me personally. It is quite possible that male-female interrelations is a contributing factor to the growing number of elementary schools closing not just in Korea and Japan, but in many first world countries. However, the growing outcry from a growing number of vocal young ladies on social media forces us to ask a simple question. What might be the motivation for these growing number of young ladies to not just show excitement for such a trend, but also to show excitement to a trend that will in the end cannibalize a large number of women's employment options? Maybe this level of discontent has been bred of several decades of the physical ritual of mating being rendered down into a joyful bodily exercise. And as a growing number of men are falling out of the dating market and seemingly a growing number of women are sharing a smaller group of men, maybe this cry for a 4B movement to come to the West is simply the cry of many sporn lovers pining for revenge. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, guys.